Charles Chuckloaf here, and the journey continues. I haven't given up yet. The quest to watch 1,200 films and review every one right here. Today we're doing 26 through 48, and they were watched January 8th through January 15th. Let's not waste time and get going. Number 26, Bridge of Spies. Tom Hanks, the 98% reliable Tom Hanks. He's made some stinkers in the past, though, folks. Remember, the Burbs. And another one that I'll be getting to later. Bridge of Spies, he plays a slimy little attorney hired to negotiate the release of two prisoners, a 2-for-1 deal, which was kind of ballsy to ask for that, but he did it, and it's an interesting little film. Can't find much wrong with it. Number 27, Criminal Activities. This was directed by Jackie Earle Haley, who you may remember played the most recent incarnation of Freddy Krueger. He was also the taller, older kid in the old Bad News Bears movies. It's funny how he was the taller kid as a child, and now he's like a tiny little man. Thought that was interesting. These four friends, they borrow money from the mob to invest in this stock that crashes, so they owe the mob all this money. The mob is run by John Travolta, and of course Travolta makes them do things they don't want to do, like kidnap someone, and then it goes from there. There's a twist ending that I didn't really care for. I thought it was a little over the top, a little unnecessary, but it's still a watchable little movie. Number 28, Elvis and Nixon, an Amazon exclusive. This was based on the true story when Elvis decided to randomly show up at the White House for an unscheduled impromptu meeting with President Nixon, all because Elvis wanted a badge. He wanted to be a federal undercover narcotics officer so he could bring down bad influences like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. I'm not making that up. Michael Shannon, my boy, stars, and Kevin Spacey played Nixon, and they both did an excellent job. It's a hilarious little film that a lot of people might not know much about. Number 29 is probably the best thing I've seen this year, the movie Silence. I described this movie I wrote down as pulling no punches. And I checked another reviewer, the first one I could find, and he described this movie as a punch in the gut. So 2 different reviews describe punches as this film. 2 Christian monks go to Japan looking for their lost mentor, Liam Neeson. It stars Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver, who is in everything now. Do not watch this with the kids around. There's a lot of torture, some gruesome killings, but still an amazing, excellent film. It's a little long, but stick with it. It's really good. And it's also based on a novel, not based on a true story. Number 30 was Bright, a Netflix original film written by Max Landis, who brought us Chronicle. If you remember that movie from 5 years ago. It kind of reminded me of Alien Nation, that old 80s James Caan film. In that one, the human cop had to team up with the alien cop. In this one, the human cop has to team up with the orc cop. As you can guess, this one's a bit more fantasy-based. Joel Edgerton plays the orc cop, as he was excellent. If you remember, he got his big break as Uncle Owen in Star Wars Episode 1. Probably the only unknown actor to really get a big boost from that film. The poor kid that playing Anakin Skywalker is probably out drinking and driving or shooting up as we speak. Poor guy. Back to the film. Will Smith and his orc cop partner Joel Edgerton have to keep a magic wand from getting into the wrong hands. Will Smith's cutesy little one-liners get a little old, but it's not a complete turn-off, but it's still a very watchable movie. Number 31, Leatherface, prequel of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was looking forward to this one. It's just kind of mediocre. Stephen Dorff and Lily Taylor star. The children of the family are all institutionalized for several years before their eventual escape, and of course they head back home. It's exactly what you'd expect out of this movie. Don't go out of your way to rent it. If you happen to stumble across it on streaming at some point when it's available on streaming, and you like horror, then maybe it's worth a watch. Number 32, Pocahontas. When I revealed that I haven't seen Pocahontas, everyone and their mother came up to me and said, "Have you seen The Lion King? Have you seen Aladdin?" Yes, I've seen The Lion King, and yes, I've seen Aladdin. It's just that Pocahontas just happened to be the one that kind of slipped through my fingers. That's all it was. But what an excellent little movie. I cannot find anything wrong with this movie. It was a good story. It wasn't too long. And I always try to guess the voices in the cartoons, and I recognize Billy Connolly immediately because he's, kind of distinguished. But Christian Bale also supported one of the voices. He was the voice of Thomas. And this was 3 years pre-American Psycho. So, of course, number 33 was Pocahontas 2. Watching these movies back to back was a big disappointment because 2 sucked. All the voices were different, and the songs were kind of uninspired, and the storyline seemed kind of rushed. It was a letdown. It was obviously Disney rushed this into development to get a quick direct-to-video cash grab. Number 34, The Girl on the Train. This drunk woman is putting the pieces together of a murder through fuzzy flashbacks. And it took 90 minutes before it got interesting, and then, of course, 10 minutes later, it's over. It's a movie that it drags you along for the first half and makes you go in one direction, and then in the second half, it makes you feel stupid by going completely the other direction. I don't like those films. They try to make you feel stupid. Very forgettable movie. I was looking forward to that one too. Not very good. Number 35 is Swoon. 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 Set in the 20s. It's based on a true story of two younger Harvard guys that went on a small crime spree, and it eventually led to them killing a small 13-year-old boy for no reason. Complete cold blood. Then during the killing, they accidentally left one of their glasses, their spectacles, at the crime scene, and that's how they got discovered. And then they go through a trial, and they go to prison, and yada yada. There's actually an Orson Welles version of this movie that the title slips my mind as we speak, but it's much, much better than this one. This one was very artsy-fartsy. It was filmed in black and white, which is fine, but it was made in the 90s. And one too many extreme close-ups. One too many. Probably 20 too many close-ups. Then we got our... then we got a group of Bigfoot movies. Number 36, not your typical Bigfoot movie. About this old man named Dallas and his middle-aged buddy Wayne. A couple of good old boys trying to catch Sasquatch. And they get a little bit of notoriety, and then they go on a national radio show, and they get caught in a blatant lie, and it kind of ruins their credibility. I mean, that's kind of where the documentary picks up, is them trying to regain their credibility as Sasquatch hunters. And the old man Dallas was a hoot. He claimed to talk to an actual Native American about how to talk to Sasquatch, and I will crudely try to recreate exactly what he learned to say to Sasquatch to get him to respond. This is what he says when he goes out in the woods. Hoa, hoa, hey, normal. That's what he says. That's what he says out in the woods to talk to Sasquatch. Apparently, Sasquatch turns around and says, "What? You know, he's got it figured out. He speaks their language." But the evidence they caught was questionable at best. But it's an interesting documentary nonetheless. Number 37, Sasquatch, Sasquatch. This one was bad. Two brothers get a grant to go on a Bigfoot expedition. The janitor from Scrubs plays their nature guide, and Tim Meadows plays their adversary. Completely void of laughs. There's not even a Sasquatch in the movie. It's so stupid. The Amazon reviews had it at 5 stars out of 5. Then I checked a little closer. It's because one person reviewed it. It's probably the director. Because it's not a 5-star movie. Number 38, Hunting Grounds. Your dime a dozen angry Sasquatch in the woods goes on a killing spree movie. This father and son have to relocate to a shack in the woods because they're broke. And of course, they invite a couple friends over to go hunting, and they tick off a Sasquatch, and the Sasquatch starts killing them and attacking the shack. Nothing special. Number 39, another Bigfoot documentary called Discovering Bigfoot. Primarily starred Todd Standing. I knew of his name, but I never really looked into his stuff. He is a master of disguise. And some of his evidence is so good that you question it, because he gets real close, and he has some interesting footage. You have to see it to believe it. But there was some bad parts about this documentary. It's way, way, way too long. It's about 2 hours. And the main premise of this documentary, he took 2 different other Bigfoot researchers on expeditions. And both of them, they had 10 to 15 minute conversations about tree breaking. Really? Like, if they had cut the tree breaking conversations out, this movie would have been a perfect 90 minutes and it would have been just fine. But that was the only part that really dragged it down. The rest of it was pretty intriguing. Number 40 was Pottersville. Excellent film. Love this movie. Stars Michael Shannon. He plays a general store owner who goes home a little early and finds his wife cheating. So he gets a little drunk, puts on a gorilla suit, and stumbles around town in the middle of the night. So, of course, all the locals think they've seen Bigfoot. So soon the town gets popularity from being a town that has a Bigfoot in the neighborhood. Ian McShane and Ron Perlman co-star. This is probably the best thing Ron Perlman's ever done. That's Hellboy wasn't much, people. But yeah, Pottersville, it was a funny movie. The first half is better than the second half, but it was still an excellent film. Number 41, Wild Men. This was another Bigfoot movie. It's a spoof on the Finding Bigfoot TV show, which deserves to be spoofed. But it's I've seen every episode. I find it entertaining in a weird way. But this film was funny for a little while, but the joke got kind of old kind of fast, and it went downhill pretty quick. Of course, they find an angry Bigfoot, and then Bigfoot starts killing them. Number 42, Shotgun Stories, another Michael Shannon movie. His third so far on the list. 3 brothers get into a blood feud with their father's other sons when one of them shows up to the funeral and kind of makes a scene. And it kind of escalates from there. Nice little drama. It's kind of sad though. But it's a good, well-made film. Number 43, Inherent Vice. Stars Joaquin Phoenix. Had bit parts from Owen Wilson, Martin Short, and Benicio del Toro. Pot-smoking private investigator goes looking for a missing couple. This was set in the 70s. The problem with this movie, there is so much whispering. They're at a party, and they're sitting in a corner, whispering. No one can hear you. So you got to crank the volume just to hear what they're saying. And it's a lot of just nonsense talk for the most part, so you don't really need to hear what they're saying. So there's a lot of pointless banter. Yeah, I was not impressed with that film. Expect better from Joaquin Phoenix. Number 44. I mentioned earlier about how Tom Hanks is not 100%, and this film proves it. Way back when, in the 80s, number 44 is Dragnet. Co-starred him and Dan Aykroyd. I don't know if this was funny 30 years ago, but it's not funny anymore. Cops Hanks and Aykroyd have to stop evil pastor Christian Plummer. Everything about this film's outdated. It's just done. It should be deleted. Number 45, Nim's Island. This was a fun little family film. I can't find a whole lot wrong with this one. Stars Abigail Breslin from Little Miss Sunshine fame. Gerard Butler and Jodie Foster pops up. A father scientist and his daughter live on a little island by themselves. The father is catching little organisms and running experiments, and the father gets lost at sea, and so the daughter reaches out to her favorite author, Jodie Foster, and she tries to help save the day. But Gerard Butler was a little corny, a little over the top as the father. When he was when he was lost at sea, he kept saying, "I gotta fix the ship. I gotta get back to Nim." That was his daughter's name, Nim. Who talks like that? No one talks like that. That's ridiculous. But it's not a bad movie. Number 46 was a Western called In a Valley of Violence. Starred Ethan Hawke and John Travolta. Has the same exact plot as John Wick. These guys kill the dude's dog and he goes back looking for a payback. It's predictable, but still a well-made little movie. It's not as good as Brimstone. So far, the best Western on the list. Number 47 was The Accountant. Ben Affleck. It's kind of this freelance accountant / hitman of sorts. Blows the whistle of this robotics company. Things kind of fall from there, but the background story of how he became to be and the position he is a bit more interesting than what happens in present day. Hard to describe. Still a fine little movie. It was actually a box office flop, but it's a watchable movie. And it's always nice to see J.K. Simmons pop up from time to time. Another one of my all-time favorite actors. Number 48, which I believe is the final film. Yep, this is it. The final film we're reviewing, The 100-Foot Journey. This film should be on the Food Network. There was a lot of close-ups of food. It's about this Indian family who moves to France to open a restaurant. They set up their shop across from a fancy French restaurant, which was led by Helen Mirren. The love story that involves that the love story was a little nauseating. I won't BS you. The love interest, the girl, it took me a long time to place her, but I eventually figured it out. She had a little bit part in the movie Bubble Boy from way back in 2001. If you remember, she was the girl that held up the convenience store shop at the very, very end of the movie. Not the very end, but towards the end. So it's good to see she's still getting work. This movie was produced by Spielberg and Oprah. This is a good movie to watch when Grandma comes over. It's a good, safe little film. Like, oh, Grandma Kettle's coming over. What are we going to watch? Well, we can't watch Alien Covenant. And we don't hate Grandma, so we're not going to make her watch Colossal. So let's make her watch The 100-Foot Journey. Good film for old people. And that's all we got for you this time. Let me find out what I got coming up. In the next edition, we'll have, we're going to La La Land. Ryan Gosling, we'll see if that's any good. It's got like 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it better be good. Then we're going to the South Side. South Side with You, the story of Barack and Michelle Obama and how they met. That should be interesting. Then we're going to fry up some tomatoes, some fried green tomatoes. A woman's movie. I can't wait to watch this. Then we're going to watch Annabelle Creation. Looking forward to that one. Probably watch that here shortly. Then a movie called Goat, about college hazing that goes too far. I believe it co-stars one of the Jonas Brothers. So that should be fascinating. And that's all I got for you this time, folks. Until next time. Bye-bye.